10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Smart investments and money management skills are not always passed down with wealth. According to Sam DeSalvo, about 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the next generation and 90% lose to the next generation after that. Wealth connotes different things to different people. The get-rich syndrome is becoming alarming. Sustaining substantial wealth takes more than financial intelligence, something that not all parents are passing along to their children. It has been reported that 64% of parents admit they have never talked about their wealth to their children. Without that education, inheritance may be spent quickly without any means of recovery. This is why on your program today, we shall be discussing generational wealth transfer with my guest, an Amazon best-selling author, a successful entrepreneur, a counseling psychologist, and an expert in helping young people discover and develop their God-given potential, implement their ideas into income-producing products, marketing it to build their own business, and making wealth from that discovery. Viewers, I encourage you to invite your children here today, as there is so much to learn and take away from today. I will be right back with my guest. Don't go away. You're welcome back from that short break. And you know that before I went on that break, I told you that I'm going to have a wonderful person in-house with me on today's program, your program, The Platform. So I have with me today Dr. Mrs. Patricia Ikiriko, a successful mother, a philanthropist, and a woman of God. So I am going to leave her right now to introduce herself to us. You're welcome on set today, ma.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice, being on this platform today. Thank you for catching me up. Just like she said, I'm Dr. Patricia Ikiriko. I'm a mother of 2. I have 5 foster children. On my educational career, I think she will tell you more about it later. I've really crawled in the educational parts of, how will I just put it, my educational career. I started from NC, that is National Certificate for Education. I had an NC in that. I had B.Ed in Guidance and Counseling. I had a Master's in Guidance and Counseling and Education. I had, then I had a burning desire to make an impact in my generation, especially on the life of the young people. And I made up my mind. I went for a PhD in England.
Oh, wow.
With my 2 little children.
Wow.
It was quite challenging. And I finished in England and I went to America in 2018. I took up another PhD. I wanted to move actually from just pure psychology. I took up educational psychology in America, which I graduated in 2020. And by God's grace, I was the most A-grade student of the year.
Oh, wow.
The time I graduated.
Congratulations.
And that is really something I just say, look, this is nothing I can do on my own, but the grace of God. And I thank God for giving me that platform to showcase what God can do, especially for this generation. I looked into more about how I can help the parents that will raise really the next generation for excellence.
Okay, so we are going there very shortly. So before moving to that, please, from your biography and introduction, I know that you're a wife, you're a successful mother. I mentioned that earlier. You're a doctor from all that you have just said now, an academician, and then a writer. However, I wonder, how do you juggle all these together? Because I know that from the little that I do, these are really, really tasking. So we just want to know how you're able to juggle everything together. Like you're a superwoman.
Nobody actually can be superwoman without something. And I know that I have the grace of God. It's the grace of God that have helped me this far in my life.
Thank God.
So many people ask me this question everywhere I go, because from 2010 till this day, I've published about 8 books on Amazon. And one of my books, The Successful Student, won an award in England. And
wow.
Soft copy was sent to all secondary schools in the UK. I appeared on Female First magazine, on exclusive interview. It was taken as an editor's pick of the month.
Wow.
And the book just went everywhere. And the book was featured on different platforms in England. And in 2018, I published another book again that became Amazon #1 bestseller.
Oh, wow.
And that is Think Ideas and Create Wealth. In 2019, yes, I co-published a book titled The Nigerian Brides Academy with 18 professionals. That book is something that every woman or every person that wants to make a home and a good life will have. Just like I said, if you have a determined mindset and a vision of what you want, you can do whatever with the grace of God.
Okay, I'm going to quickly cut you short because we're already moving to the next question now. Okay. So you've treated part of the next question. So the part B of my next question would have been, what actually formed your decisions to do all that you've mentioned for us today?
What inspired me to take up a PhD? After I finished, I was actually, how would I say it, an academic dunce. Because when I was in year 10, I failed the whole year.
Oh.
Second term, third term.
Oh my.
I totally failed. And that failure actually flawed my dream of becoming something great. I was born in a very little village with an uneducated mother. But the determination I took then was informed when I started working during my university. I started working in schools and different organizations involving young people. I saw that the failure I had was what I was seeing more on young people. And when I was in secondary school, after the failure, I actually felt like committing suicide. But one day I just told myself, because I've always dreamed to be a renowned educationist. That was my dream, that I could make impacts, global impacts. And then with my background and everything that was going on then as a little teenager, there was nothing that would have even made me to have that dream. So one day I told myself, I was in my room while I was contemplating I was a failure because I always felt my life was to nothing. And I heard a voice in my head, you can do more than this. Because while I was in school, I attended classes, but I don't go through my notes. I don't set goals. I don't prepare for anything for my examination. I just believe I just go to school.
And it's just going to happen.
And things will happen. But things actually happen. That was the negativity of what I got as a total
of unpreparedness.
So that day after I thought about committing suicide, but I just told myself, you can do better than this. And I made up my mind, a determined mindset. I started attending classes. I prepare before I go to school. I make my notes. I started improving gradually. It was really amazing. In my final year in secondary school, I was among the most A-grade students.
Wow.
And that is a mindset that I've taken to where I am today. And before I left my country to United Kingdom in 2007, what actually informed my mind was what I was seeing in the life of the young people in the different organizations I worked with, in the church, even the people that I met, the parents that I met, the problem they were facing with their young people. And I just felt, after a successful business, I was a business guru. I was making so much money. I just told myself, this money is not going to fetch me anything, but the impact I want to make in my generation. That was what actually informed my mind to take up a PhD in England. So in order to be better equipped on what helped me most, personal development, self-improvement, and self-empowerment. I focused on that just to make more impact in the life of young people. In 2010, I published a book titled You Can Be Richer Than Your Parents. And that book, I know, discussed so many ways young people can harness what they have to develop their potentials in order to do better in their lives. And I know that with my own view, there are not many young people at this time that can take the bold step that I did. But my coming up in this educational phase of life, looking in depth into how young people can be helped, will help so many young people that would have been in that place of despair I was. I actually want them to come back to realities of life. Look, you have so much within you.
Okay.
You don't give up at where you are at.
Okay.
That was actually what made me too.
Okay. So I'm going to just summarize everything in a bit, like you don't let your background keep you on the ground, one, and then the power of determination.
Yes, and vision.
Yes. Even if we fall, we are given another opportunity to rise because we have potentials in us that needs to be harnessed. And when we sit there on the floor, there is nothing we can do. No. Thank you very much, Ma. So going by your introduction and educational background, I can actually conclude that you are indeed a great asset to behold, and we are glad to really have you on our program today. Now, to our main topic of discussion today, let me start by asking you, what does wealth represent to you, and what is wealth?
Before I talk about what wealth represents to me, I'd like to have an overview of what the dictionary, when I was like looking at the dictionary of what wealth is. The definition in Oxford Dictionary says that wealth is the accumulation of material resources, assets, money, and businesses, and whatnot, you can name it. And that is what they feel wealth is. But in my own perspective, wealth is more than that.
More than that, okay. All right.
Wealth is wisdom that you have, that you can give to the next generation. Wealth is the virtue and the value you can instill, especially in the life of your children.
Okay.
That is what wealth is. That is what I see as wealth.
As well.
What you can bring out on the table to help other people. That is wealth.
Okay. All right. So that takes us into the next question. And I'm going to start by saying that, interestingly, just like you mentioned, wealth transcends the physical assets or strong financial capacities. What skills do you feel is necessary to manage wealth transferred from generation to generation?
That is a very good question. The skills, it's just like I said about wealth. There are values that you can pass on to the next generation. In my upcoming book, I discussed about wealth. Wealth is not just a financial asset. There's a quote I made. As a riches and assets kept for the children will not make them rich. But the values and the wisdom instilled in the life of the children for productivity is what wealth is all about. So on this part, the skill you give to your children, teaching them to take responsibilities, diligence, wealth, as I would really look at it, what you give to your children is what you teach them.
Yes.
As a great man, it's your productivity that made you to be a great man. And it's the productivity, their strategies you have used to get there. What are the skills? There is nothing that just happened
By chance.
By chance.
Yeah.
As a parent, maybe as an industrial giant, there's a process you took to get there. There are strategies, what to be done to achieve what you have achieved so far. As a father, as a leader, as a mother, as an industrial giant. So those skills you teach the children, skills like learning, discipline, skills like teaching them to harness the potentials of what they have within.
For them to be even useful to themselves first.
Yes, to be useful to themselves, to recognize who they are. In 2014, I launched a program in England titled Patricia Ikiriko, Trajectory to Personal Success. In the Trajectory to Personal Success, I looked at the 6 W and V. One of the W is who. Who you are is very important. Helping your children, especially because we're talking about parents here, leaders, mothers, and teachers. So the skill you should instill in your children in first is recognizing who they are.
Yes.
They have great potentials within. They are not just by accident. The second one is why you are in your form. Some people feel, oh, I don't have hands, I don't have limbs, I don't have this, but you have a brain. You can reason. If you have a brain, you can do something. Like Nick Vujicic in most of my training programs, I always use him. He's a man without limbs and hands, but he's one of the greatest inspirational speakers today.
Yeah.
Because he recognized that, look, I can motivate people. He can write. He types faster than I do. Than any most normal
human with hands.
Because he has two limbs on his back that he calls the drumstick. And Nick did not limit himself at how he looks at maybe his disability. He's not looking at himself as a physical disability that people see.
Impairment, yeah.
But he looks at himself as someone that is greater.
Finding abilities in disabilities.
Yes, in disabilities. So he really harnessed the wisdom God have given to him to discover his potentials in helping other people. If I can do this, you can do greater things. So that is the why. Don't focus on how you look. It doesn't matter how you look. What matters in life is what you can bring to the stage, what the problem you can solve. That is the why. Don't look at, I'm too fat, I'm too slim, I'm too skinny, I'm too this, and there is nothing too in you. You're great. And there is something, the next W is what? What you have is needed in the marketplace. You have great potentials inside of you. You're created to solve a problem. Identification of what you can do will bring you to where your potentials are needed.
Okay, maybe I can just quickly cut in the what. Like, you have your unique potential deposited in you as a human.
Yes.
Harness yours.
Yes.
Stop looking at the other party.
Yes.
Do your own.
Yeah, do what, not just doing your own. Do what you know.
Do you.
Do you.
Yeah.
What you know you can do.
The other party may not actually be able to do it.
And sometimes you're very good at making her. Let's give an instance. What I'm wearing today is not my hair. I'm wearing a wig. I'm proud to say that because I know it's someone else's idea. They discovered what they can do and they brought it in this form. Sometimes when I'm having interview, I don't have time to make my natural hair. I just take up a wig and brush it and off I go. And I look very beautiful. That is if that is what you can do, don't be shy. Don't say, oh, because I don't have a PhD, because I don't have that. No, what you have is needed in a place. The next where we're going to is where. The next W is where. Your talents, your gifting, that you are doing is needed in a particular place. The marketplace is waiting for you. There is where your talent and your hidden potentials are needed. Enhance it, work on it. And you'll be surprised. Become a multi-billionaire in no time. I was discussing with B about is it one of the musicians?
Yeah.
She said she was singing and singing and singing. I think she was a is it Temi Alade? She sang
Yemi
Alade. She sang I'm Looking for My Journey. She found disappointment in relationship. She brought into a play. And today she's known everywhere in the world. And that could just be one heartbreak. But she did not stop there. She brought it into something that the whole world could resonate with. Then the next W is home. There are some people God has designed to help you, to pull you up, to help you to become everything God has designed you to be. You're not made by accident.
Yes.
It's not everybody that should be your friend.
Definitely not.
The right people are there. Whom you are going to work with are people that when you share your dream, they don't look at you as a mediocre.
And just, yes.
They don't look at you as, oh, this one is a nobody. Anybody that is undermining what your vision, move away from them.
Absolutely.
Spend less time with them. But spend more time with the people God have designed to help you. They are the ones that will help you to realize your dream.
Yeah.
They pull you up on your week. They help you to nourish that vision you have.
Yes.
And the next W is when. Some people say, oh, I'm not rich. I'm from a poor home. I'm this, I'm that. They give all kinds of excuses of when they can start. There was, I think something happened to me when I was in uni. I was given like 300 naira in my own currency. That was just less than $3. And I started trading. One day, I saw some people in school. They could not even afford 1 square meal. And I used that $3 to trade. I started trading with that $3. I was making more than $100 every week. And I started paying fees for those people I see that could not afford 2 square meals. Maybe could not afford. Some of them were actually dropping out of school. I started paying their fees. What was I doing? As at that time, what do I have? Was only about $3. And I used that to start up a business to help people. And why am I doing that? Because I have a vision of where I'm going to. My vision is to help the downtrodden, to help people to know that, look, there is so much God has put inside of you. You're not a waste, but you have great potentials within you. That is the V I talked about.
Yes.
So if you have a vision, nothing can stop a man with a vision.
Yes.
There's no friends. You become a light. Because your light will illuminate the light of other people that you meet.
Yes.
Because you have a vision. And no distracting factors. There is no issue, no challenges that can stop a man with a vision.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that insight. And one thing that I've realized that probably everybody needs to first of all realize is, who are you? Check inside of you. Understand the potential, the God-given potential that you have in you. Then strategize on how to harness it.
Yes.
And then pray for connection and every other thing to expand and enlarge in that.
Yes.
Which is a way whereby once you're able to do that, you can transfer that to the unborn generation.
Yes. Oh, there's something I want to mention, just like you're saying. There's a story I call the broken pots. This is a lesson for parents to know. The broken pot, in that story, I illustrated that there was this woman that had 2 pots. One was broken, not very good, but she goes to the stream every day with the broken pot. So one day, the broken pot fell. She carries one on her head and another in her hand, the broken one in her hand.
In the hand, yeah.
So as she goes, she comes home with very little water. So one day, the broken pot said, I'm of no use. Why are you always taking me? Before I get home, everything in me is already gone. Why are you always taking me? I'm just like an extra burden. Concentrate in carrying this one on the head. But the woman said, you're broken, but you're very useful to me. So as I come back from the stream, as the water is pouring out of you, do you realize that I come home sometimes with flowers? You may think you are useless, but with your brokenness, the holes inside of you waters those.
There is still something useful.
Flowers. That is why I have a plant. So the advice I have for parents is that your children may not look like it, but you should be able to find out something great they are able to do. Like the woman with the broken pot. The pot felt is of no use.
It's of no use.
But there was something, it's sensitivity, as I call it, sensitivity on the part of the parents. To be sensible, to know exactly what is that my child can do.
Yes.
Nick Voigt's parents did not look at him as a burden after his birth. They knew that this boy could stand on his own. He started walking. And they knew that there was so much he could do with his life. And what did they do? They encouraged him on whatever he was good at.
The path that he feels that.
So, as a parent, you should be able to realize that, look, there is something this my child can do. And help them to realize that if your son or maybe your daughter or any of your children is good at music, try to employ music, take them out to where, expose them to where they can learn how to play the instrument or maybe how to sing. Some of them are footballers, they are very good at, then look for a place where they can play ball. Anything you think is leading a clue to where you think the child is very good at, encourage it. These are the things, this is just the only little way we know that we can help the next generation. I'll throw more light on that maybe after your next question.
Okay, so on that, we will quickly go on a short break and we will be right back to continue on your program, The Platform.
Daffodil's Party Blog? They are your #1 party blogger in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Do you have a party coming up? Do you have a business or service to advertise, or do you want to give a shout out to a friend or family that is celebrating? Then look no further. Daffodil's Party Blog is your main blog. You can send them a DM on Instagram at Daffodil's Party Blog or call 431-990-1153. Daffodil's Party Blog, always at your service.
Hello there. I am Buki Sholanke of Maximum Realty, your favorite real estate agent. With almost 15 years as a real estate professional, starting from United Kingdom and in Canada to being a licensed realtor here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, I am passionate in helping people make the right decision when it's time for them to purchase their dream homes and in selling their properties. I walk with you every step of the way, throughout all the process, to ensure that you do not fail. The professionalism, personal touch, and genuine empathy that I employ in getting the job done are what set me apart and also help build strong bond with all my clients, which makes them to always come back, as well as refer their friends and families to me. Call me today on 204-997-6117 to schedule an appointment, and I am all yours. Buki Sholanke, your trusted family realtor.
You're welcome back from that short break, and it is still your program, The Platform. I hope you're enjoying our topic so far, and that is generational wealth transfer, and that has been handled today with me by Dr. Mrs. Patricia Ikiriko. So before we go on, let me quickly tell you that in case you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Facebook and on YouTube. You can share and also leave your comments. You're welcome back to this segment, ma.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. So before we went on break, we were talking about a few things and something just dropped in my mind. And that is that, the Bible said, train up your child or train up a child in the way he should go. And when he grows up, he will not depart from it. So that takes me into the next question. Most successful people are too busy to raise their children. They often leave them with teachers, with maids, probably a family member that lives with them or somewhere else. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts with respect to wealth transfer that we're actually talking about?
That is one of the biggest questions that have been going on in the minds of so many people. It's the biggest question on the earth today, transferring generational wealth. And just like we discussed earlier on, generational wealth is not just the asset, like the quotes are made here. I say assets and wealth stored for children doesn't make them rich, but the wisdom you give them for productivity is what makes them rich. So before we go on that, I want to first look at how I describe generational. I said this stems from generation. This could be seen as a high quality precedent practice of ever-growing mindset that remains guided by a strong moral foundation and positive nature. That is my own description of what generational is. And as a parent, it's just like the Bible passage you quoted, that is in Proverbs 22 verse 6. Yeah. It says that train up the child in the way he should go.
Yes.
There's something I want us to look at there. Teaching them in God's wisdom so that they'll be able to harness their abilities and talents, that when they grow, they will not depart from it. So as a father, as a mother, as an industrial giant, you are a failure if you cannot impart the right values in the life of your children. I call it you're a failure because if you cannot replicate greater things, you have not succeeded. If you only know how to multiply your businesses, you follow all the business strategies in making your trillions and billions, but you can't leave them for your children, you're a failure already. Any leader at all that does not have replication of the next generation, I term them as failure. And the only way you can do that is training your children. I described training here in two different dimensions. I described the fundamental responsibility on how to train your children is to give them a better future. How? is by training, by instruction, by teaching them the right value to become everything you desire them to be greater than you. And that is why my first book is You Can Be Richer Than Your Parents. How can you do that? I differentiate between training and teaching. Training is a process involving engaging instruction and firm command that helps the children to follow. You are involved in it, giving them the instructions and ensuring that these instructions are followed with love and care and concern. Like she said earlier on, you have your children, you don't want them to suffer, but you're training your maids. Tomorrow your children will become slaves to the maids.
Very deep.
Because who you are today is out of you follow the fundamental demands to ensuring that whatever you're doing is better. So if you cannot teach them to your children, you failed in that aspect. You now become a slave because the money you have made will be used by other people and not even your children, because they won't even have the ability to handle them. So you as a parent, training is for you to take the responsibility in instilling the right method, the strategies at which to achieve a set objective and set goals. Most people think they don't want their children to suffer. The maids do everything for them.
Yeah.
You're teaching the maid, training the maid rather than training your children.
Yes.
Because when they are left alone, they become nothing. I like Donald Trump. He followed the strategies that I imbibed from him in training up my young children. Donald Trump taught the children what to do from T-boy to the great executive in the office, even at home. You teach your children what to do. What about if they are left in a strange place? I always tell my children, you become a seed. You will not be a liability or a good riddance. Wherever you go, people are happy that you're going. But you should be able to be like a seed planted and grow anywhere you are found on the face of the earth. So, and that is only by parents training their children. Remember what the description I gave and my own definition of training. I said it's the process of involving, engaging instruction and firm command that helps the children to understand what to do with any given instructions and values. You don't just give them the instruction and command them to do. You teach them the value, what is in there that they can get. Like when my children were growing up, we took them to, my daughter will find out that she loves to make hair and makeups. We took her to a professional makeup studio to learn. We took her to a hairstylist, and she likes to make small chops. We took her to a restaurant to learn. What are we doing? We're equipping her on how to become a better entrepreneur tomorrow. In my house, she manages the domestic workers. She goes shopping with them. And my husband took it on himself, said, look, the chef will not make breakfast for me, but my daughter will make the breakfast. No matter how it tastes, he enjoyed that breakfast because he wants her to learn. What are we doing when imbibing the right values? One day she was complaining, I've never seen a wicked parents like this. My parents, they will even let me to sleep in the morning. Every parent want their less than 16-year-old to do something like this to sleep in the morning. But my parents are so wicked. They want me to do this, they want me to do that. She was complaining, and I told her, I said, look, you're going to become an industrial giant. Because these are the things your dad is trying to teach you. He took her shopping on how to buy everything in the house. Not with the chef. And the chef makes a list and gives to her. And she goes shopping with the driver to get the things to the house.
Very good.
What are we doing? We're training her today. She has her own businesses. So, it takes me to teaching. It's just like you said earlier on. Most wealthy parents, as they call themselves, leave everything
to the maids.
to teach
Teachers,
They
guardians.
hire everything to teach their children, but nobody can teach your children the way you would teach them.
Yes.
The values of what you're doing, nobody can teach them. Nobody can help them in that manner, but you. So teaching here, I said teaching involves admonishing the children to make their decision in possible ways they like. It simply enable their understanding of thought concepts and application of knowledge, because they are left on their own. The teachers will not discipline your children. They will not instruct them on what to do and ensuring that this is carried out the way they want and imbibing in them the right value of what you think you can get at any concept you're working on. It could be the concept of a company. Today, Coca-Cola, everybody is trying to make Coke. Pepsi have come in, all kinds of things, but none is like Coca-Cola because they have a history that they are teaching. They teach them to their own children. Even if as a worker, if they don't have the real ingredient at which Coca-Cola is using,
Yes.
what are they doing? They're passing that generational wealth.
Yes.
It's not the wealth of the assets they have kept, it's the wisdom on how to do what they are doing to replicate it. The demands it takes, you were talking about the skills, the demands it takes for labor. You set your goals, you make the plans, and you make strategic ways at which these plans and the set goals you have made will be carried out. These are the skills you can teach your children. Realizing that nothing comes easy in life but hard work. Diligence. A diligent man, like the Bible says, he said, have you found a man that is diligent in his business? He will stand before great men.
Yes, and not mere men. Yeah.
So how will you do that? It's not by hiring your teachers to teach your children.
No.
It is you taking time to be involved in what your children are doing.
To know the children.
To know the children, understand them. There are simple ways at which, the Bible attests of Abraham in the book of Genesis 18 verse 19. He said, for Abraham, I know him that he will teach his children. He will bring them up. Does God know you? You yourself, do you know yourself that you can pass what you're doing to your children? That they can manage what you're doing? If you cannot do that, then term yourself as a failure. But this broadcast today should teach you that, look, you need to look inward as industrial giants, as an MD, as a trillionaire. You did something that was something that produced that your trillion. Pass them on to your children. It is not the assets. It is how to do what you are doing and they can improve better on what they are doing. First, you need to understand, what can this my child do? What are they good at? Identifying those things will help you to pass on what you are doing and they will be greater than you are.
And they become a better version.
Yes, they become a better version of who they are. The unique skills of raising this young generation that I've already put out in my upcoming book. The skills, unique skills of raising generational excellence empire leaders. So there is so much parents could pass on. Remember, it's not the cars, it's not the shares,
it's not the houses,
it's not the houses. The value it teaches them in the ways of the Lord, the wisdom it imbibe upon them, and the teaching and the training you give them. In the course of training, you're commanding them, you're instructing them, you are teaching them,
guiding
you
them.
are guiding them, and you are following up on them with love. Because a child you don't understand, you will never have anything from that child. And that is why I put up the unique skills parents can use, leaders can use to help the younger generation to be greater than them. Does that answer?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm actually taking, off my feet and I'm just like, wow. It's so explosive and you're giving us more insight into what parents actually need to do. And just like I mentioned earlier, like our children have to be a better version of us. So wherever they find themselves in life, okay, we've done this. Our children should be able to do better than that, and not, not be able to do anything or nothing for themselves. And that is going to take me to the next question. So with reference to the African community, why has it become so difficult for wealth to be transferred from generation to generation? Because there was a day I was actually discussing with somebody and we're talking about success. So I posed the question that, what does success mean to you? The lady said, by the time I have these cars, this number of houses, but for me, that's not success. Well, different views anyway, but to me, success is being able to sow a seed into my children, whereby it transcends into the unborn generation over and over and over and over. So it's not just the number of houses, the number of cars. That's not success for me. So both the physical, quantifiable and unquantifiable wealth, why has it become a difficult thing for the African to transfer wealth from generation to generation?
This is one of the, I call it psychological hidden factors that were not taught in school. This is one thing that is not taught in the business affairs of life, especially in our own African culture. The very great man, rich man, as we call them, maybe industrial giant, as I always call them, they feel their children should go to the best school. I want my children to go to Harvard, to Oxford, to Cambridge, to Yale, and they've made the preparation for these children from an early age. They take them overseas, give them to the best guidance, who takes them to school, prepare them to have those educational careers. But the main thing,
Something is missing. Missing. Yeah.
It's essential to help the children see that they live life intentionally.
Intentionally.
You know, when you don't live life intentionally, you go for anything. And why these children are there overseas, they don't come home, they don't even know what their parents are doing. And when they come home, it's like a party galore.
Yeah.
They give them the most expensive cars, but the values at what have brought you to where you are,
They don't have it.
the young children don't have it. So now I think it's just like I talked about trajectory, personal success, we should be talking about trajectory to generational wealth transfer. I think this will be included in my new book because this trajectory to personal wealth transfer was not included in the form we're talking about it today. And now the African parents, or maybe the industrial giants, don't take time to instill this discipline,
The values.
call it, and the values in the life of their children.
Maybe they don't have that time.
They don't have the time because as children come on holidays, they are going to Disney World, they should go to this, they are going on private jet and first class everywhere. Who is managing your business? Nobody. The children have no clue.
They don't even have an understanding.
When you're gone, who will do all these things you've been doing? Who can do it better than the one you have? I know you have board of directors, you have managers. These are the people you're working for. I call them slaves. Because you're slaving yourself and keeping all this money without training your children to be better in life. When they are gone, the directors do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
The managers do whatever they want to do. Great lives like Abiola in Nigeria. Today, nobody is even hearing about his businesses.
Or his children.
I talked about, I went to Lagos, that was last year. I was asking about Eleganza, I think Okoye
Thomas.
I don't think any of the children are doing great exploit. We would have heard about them on the internet. Even Fela Kuti.
Kuti.
Every everybody is repeating what Fela had sang. No new concept is springing up like this. Is Fela's children that are coming up with new generational music. So these are something that these are great men and women the great leaders should take a time off to think inwardly. What can I do to be different? How can I change my generation? How can I change the trajectory of where we are going to or where we want to go to?
Okay, that's actually going to take me to the next question, and that is the fact that do you have any guideline or advice to parents, especially with respect to wealth transfer?
Oh, I have guidelines, but permit me to use them on my laptop because I didn't even know.
You are free.
Just go through what I put together
Yeah.
in my upcoming book.
Okay.
Just give me some sec. Let me just go through it. I say that the inheritance you leave for your children as parents is what is important in life. And every visionary should teach their children the most important details of life. I said, 1, what to do with their lives, the value of what matters most, importance of good habits, vision for the desired future, focus on God's word, and how to handle challenges with positive
Mindset. Oh my, that is huge. That particular one is very important.
and love for nature. Serving others is a major key to life attainment. And the most important thing I see here in what I feel parents should live for their children is a life of purpose. And I define this purpose as a planned action for achievement. So, to save and spend less than they earn. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs 21, verse 20. I want us to go to that scripture, if you don't mind.
Okay. Proverbs 21:20.
Yes,
Okay.
Proverbs 21:20.
Let me just quickly open that here.
Let me check too.
Okay.
If you see it before me, you read it. If I see
Okay.
it before you.
Okay, so I have Proverbs 21:20 here says, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth up.
Good. These are one of the values we leave for the next generation on how to spend less. Spending can actually sell your inheritance. And above all, we may be talking about the sensual wisdom, which is a human wisdom. We should focus more on God's wisdom because the Bible, I believe the Bible, and I know that the Bible is a manual of our lives.
That's a standard.
And I know that great men and women have lost their heritage because they did not bring their children
In the way of the Lord.
You may have everything, and if your child does not have this value, it's going to be a waste. The greatest men in the Bible, I'll mention 2. Eli was one of the greatest men in the Bible, but he never inculcated this Christian value
Into
in
the
life of his
children, yeah.
What happened? His generation was lost. One of the greatest men that have ever been recorded in the Bible is Samuel. The Bible recorded in the book of, I think it's 1 Samuel.
Yeah.
He talked about that none of his words failed. But what happened? He lost his generation because he did not bring up his children
In the way of the Lord.
His children could not take over from him. That's one of the greatest men that ever lived that God communicated with apart from Moses.
Yes.
And confirmed all his words. And in his life, he never had any time of altar of error in his life. So this can happen to any great man or woman, both in the Bible and in the physical today. If you don't take time to train up your children will end up throwing your generation to the trash.
So last words for us today, ma. For our viewers, for parents, and even for children that might be watching us today. What are your final words
for every one of us in respect to generational wealth transfer?
Okay. Coming up this, I indulge again because I didn't know this question is coming up because I learn from great men and women. And I like to follow their clue because it's a success lives clue. So it's the people that have gone ahead that I like to follow. I like to learn from great men. So let's look at Napoleon Hill. He illustrated the enduring riches inheritance to leave for your children. And he said that it constitutes 12 types of enduring riches that comprises the following. Listen to what Napoleon Hill said. He said, leave the inheritance you can leave for your children. Positive mental attitude, number one. Number two, sound physical health. They should be
in good health.
And how to create good health. It does not just happen. Harmony in human relations, freedom from fear, hope of future achievement, capacity of applied faith, willingness to share the blessing, labor of love. Number 9, open mind on all subjects. 10, self-discipline. 11, wisdom to understand people. And 12, financial security. This is from one of the presidents that have gone ahead. This is what you can leave for your children. Teaching them, bringing them up in this way. Is the greatest wealth you can ever leave for your children. Because anywhere they are, they become a seed that will germinate and grow.
Thank you very, very much, Ma, on our program today. We are so glad to have you, and we are so happy with all, the insightful words that you have given us today on that topic, generational wealth transfer. And I'm sure that, it's full and it's actually running over. The Lord will continue to strengthen you, Ma, in the name of Jesus, and you will live to reap every fruit of your labor in Jesus' name. And once your book comes out, please let us know so that we can, share with our people. And on behalf of STO Global Concept, we just want to say thank you very much with this little. Thank you so much.
It's so lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, audience and my viewers, I will be right back.
According to my guest, Dr. Patricia Ikiriko, assets and wealth stored for children doesn't make them rich, but opening their eyes through wisdom to discover their potential to excel and make wealth. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. What more can I say than to encourage every parent out there to make out time to train and educate the children instead of acquiring and building up wealth for an untrained generation. Before I draw the curtains on today's episode of your program, I want to specially invite you to join Bumi Praise on April 17th, that is Easter Sunday, for Praise Without Barriers. Till we come your way on another episode of your program, let us continue to inspire and transform the world with love. I remain your host, Bumi Odunton.